So this is my first video attempt. I'm not very good at this. I've never done this before. But I decided it was probably time to begin to share some of my experiences. There's been a few content makers on YouTube that have really helped me process my healing. And I think that if I can reach somebody or a few people out there, and just by hearing my words or knowing my experience, maybe they could find some comfort or relief or even some tips on how to heal from addiction. Addiction surrounds us. Like, I live in Vancouver, BC, and there's not one person I know that doesn't have some sort of dependency, whether on drugs and alcohol, which is common, or shopping, hoarding, sex, or even social media, the constant, that instant gratification of social acceptance through likes. It's just all around us in the city and in every city, actually, and it's quite serious. And I've dealt with my own bouts of opiate addiction, serious opiate addiction that has just ravaged my life. And healing has been a process that has been exhilarating and fulfilling and life-giving and hard and scary and isolating, and everything that I think I asked for as a soul before I came into this life, my challenge has given me, and healing from that challenge has given me. When I decided to take healing into my own hands, which was about 3 years ago, I had very little resources. I had no money. I had no friends, or hardly any friends at that point, because I pushed them all away. Or they couldn't stomach to be around me, to see the ghost that I was becoming and had become. I needed something. I needed an anchor. I needed something to stand on and help me. And I found that in various ways, various unique ways. And I knew that I did have to put my heart and my life into something higher. I was not raised religious. I was not raised with any religion. But my father is a very spiritual man. And he meditated and showed me through his living just his heart of unconditional love and acceptance. And so I knew divinity. I knew there existed something greater. I just didn't have a relationship with it. I didn't have contact with it. But I knew that if I was going to survive, I had to ask for help. And unfortunately, or fortunately, when I look back on it, the humans in my life couldn't offer me help. I am what some people have termed an empath, so I feel other people's emotions in my own body. I always know what another person needs. It is a blessing to be this way, but being so highly sensitive means that pain folds itself into my body and my energy. And before I knew even what an empath was or what being highly sensitive meant, I just thought this pain was all mine. And to cover it, to mask it, I used drugs and alcohol. And so I knew that I needed to find something that would help me climb out of the dark pit I had made of my life. So I started to journal, and I started to ask questions to a higher being. I still wasn't comfortable to use the word God, as that word triggers something in a lot of people. It triggers the idea of religion, which religions have been institutions of control. They've been used to control people's minds. So a lot of times when people hear the word God, there's a reaction that's often negative, and it used to be that way in me too. So when I began journaling and asking for help to a divine something, I use the word spirit, or I use the word source, but I had to have something to talk to. And I began asking questions. That was the beginning of the most fascinating healing journey I've ever been on in my life. And it led me to asking questions about, first, why I'm an addict, which was painful, and I will in later videos get to that. But it also led me to the question of, why are there drugs proliferating our streets? Why is it easier to find drugs as even an underage person than it is to get alcohol or cigarettes, right? Like, everywhere I look, in any city I go to, there's a drug center. And why is it like that? That question, led me to uncovering histories of control. What people now commonly call the Illuminati. The Illuminati's influence on our systems of living, our cities, our human lives. And a big part of control for them is drug use. Okay, so making sure drugs are available to humans so that we are distracted, covering our pain, constantly looking for the next fix, and not working on ourselves. This is such a goal and a plan of the controlling forces of the Illuminati. And when I started to research this, it really broke something open inside of me. It started my healing process, because so much shame comes along with addiction, so much blame of yourself, so much saying and repeating thoughts of how could you have done this to yourself and your family. And when you start to realize that, yes, you are responsible for your own life, but there is a whole group, a whole underground secret group of dark forces, humans and dark, demonic forces, providing human beings with a plethora of different types of drugs. Like that, it helped me. It helped me realize there's more to this story than me just being a weak person, or me just being unable to pull myself out of this. Learning about the freaking Illuminati helped me heal. That was the beginning. And it sounds crazy to say that, but really learning was such a powerful force, because you feel disempowered when you're addicted. You completely give over your life to a substance and to basically a lifestyle of addiction. Okay, getting the drugs, waking up sick, hanging out with people that are so wrong for you, but they are sick too. Okay, I'm not judging here. To empower yourself with information, to learn about what we're dealing with in our society, all around the world, all our societies, that there is a faction here that is very dark and wishes to keep humanity sick in our bodies and minds. Now that was honestly the beginning of my healing. And I really want to expand on this further, because I think if people do start to learn about what it is and why our world is like this, and why addiction seems to be almost supported within the health community. Okay, we have doctors prescribing drugs that are so unneeded and that cause, within a month's use time, causes physical dependency. And then there's such little help to get off of this. Why is it set up like that? Why is it set up like that? Why have there been major wars throughout human history to accumulate drugs, like the opium wars? Why is it that so many politicians throughout human history and royalty have tried to accumulate drugs to give out to societies? These are really important questions, and I think every person who's addicted should start to investigate why. If you have time, if you have access to internet, if you have a moment, where you're not ravaged by withdrawal or, in a stupor, start to research this stuff, because it really is empowering when you begin to learn that you are not the only one to blame for your current situation, okay? I'm not saying put the blame on others, okay? We have to take responsibility, but we also need to understand that we're living in a world that is ruled by people who are anti-human. They are against humanity, and they want us to remain sick. It is one hell of a trip to get out of darkness, and I'm not saying that that it's easy. That's not the only step here. But learning and informing ourselves of why our world is like this and why our cities are like this, I think that's a wonderful first step, and it gives you something to do, and it's empowering. Okay, so again, I'm not very good at these videos. This is my first one, but I wanted to start with that, and I'll get more into it once I figure out like memory on my phone and all this stuff, because I think it's important to start discussing how we can empower ourselves, as sensitive beings, because a lot of times addicts are very sensitive people, and the pain we feel inside, we can't escape in our minds. Like, a lot of people disassociate, and I've noticed a trend of meeting addicts who we can't disassociate. We remember a lot, and so we take drugs to try to numb that in our bodies and in our minds, but then we're sick, right? So that's not helping any situation. So we gotta take steps, very important steps, to get out of this. And I'm all for people, going to 12-step groups. They didn't work for me because of my high level of sensitivity. I was traumatized. Every meeting I went to, I was traumatized by the stories I heard. I could feel the people's experience in my body and my heart, and I wanted to use again. So I, after probably my 30th meeting of it really not working and me not feeling inspired, me feeling sick to my stomach, after every single time I realized I gotta find something else, and I tried to see a counselor for a while, and that didn't work out well, because I didn't know how to express my ability to feel, my ability to feel other people. I could feel my counselor. I could feel what my counselor was going through and her emotions, right? And when you can feel that your own counselor is having issues with insecurity and doubt in her own life or his own life, or they have problems and you can feel it, you don't have much faith in their ability to help you. So taking your own healing into your own hands, is so essential. It's so necessary, especially for younger people, okay? And people like me, highly sensitive people who haven't yet been lost to the streets, who still maybe have a job, but you're just suffering with an addiction and you're just tormented by it. Start to learn, start to educate yourself, not only about the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, not only about the controlling system, but also about how the brain functions, what's happened to your brain in addiction, the what is affected, the frontal lobe, what you use and how it's affecting your body and your brain. When you start to learn about these things without guilt and without shame, you bring back power to yourself. You can do wonderful things with that power. It's energy. It's harnessing back your energy by learning. And yeah, that's what I want to say. I have a lot more to talk about this, but I'm going to go home and walk my dog. So everybody have a good night. Thanks for watching.